It's a new year and a new chance for you to make a fresh start with your compliance. For the next 31 days on the FCPA Compliance Report, we're going to be bringing you a daily tip, strategy, or idea that you can use to improve your program. Here's your host, Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist.
This month's sponsor of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program is Affiliated Monitors. Founded in 2004, Affiliated Monitors provides professional, independent integrity monitoring and ethics and compliance assessments nationally and internationally and across almost all industries. With its knowledge of effective ethics and compliance programs and cultures, Affiliated Monitors is respected for its work as the corporate monitor on matters ranging from multinational corporations to small and mid-sized companies and even individuals. Having served in over 750 monitorships, no one has more experience as an independent monitor than the team at Affiliated Monitors. For more information on how an independent monitor can help improve your company's ethics and compliance program, visit this month's sponsor, Affiliated Monitors, at www.affiliatedmonitors.com.
The Culture Audit. What is organizational culture? Eric Feldman, Senior Vice President at Affiliated Monitors, has said it comprises the mission, vision, and values of an organization. A similar way to consider it might be as a company's values, visions, norms, and beliefs. Whichever way you define it or look at it, corporate culture affects how groups within a company interact with each other. A key inquiry is whether the corporate incentive structure supports the articulated beliefs of a company. How does one measure or audit these articulations? As far back as 2013, Jose Tabuena, in a Compliance Week article, said an important feature of a good culture is that the majority of employees can positively be influenced by values and environments that reinforce strong company values. Such a climate arises when the workforce believes that certain forms of ethical reasoning and behavior are expected norms for decision making. The ethical climate of any organization serves as useful functions in an organization. It helps employees identify ethical issues and addresses those issues by giving answers to what should I do when faced with an ethical dilemma. Tabuena added that the often used corporate tactic to blame the ubiquitous rogue employee is an attempt to deny the flaws in the system and the culture that spawned the bad acts in the first place. Some of the techniques for measurement of culture include employee interviews, focus groups, and employee surveys to measure culture. This is because through identifying cultural strengths and areas needing improvement, a culture audit can guide the creation of communications plans and culture building initiatives that are tailored to the company's needs. It is important to understand that corporate culture will not be uniform across geographies, functional areas, or operating systems, but this can be useful in comparing the results. Some of the key areas of concern in a culture audit are those that can greatly influence a company's culture, making it periodically necessary to determine whether the company is on track. If your CEO says your only goal is to make your numbers, that creates pressure to hit the target goals, and the implicit message is that you must do so by any means possible. It provides an example of saying your values are around doing business ethically and in compliance, but modeling the actions of making your numbers at all costs. One primary indicia of a toxic culture is the fear of raising your hand to report an issue and facing retaliation. Think Wells Fargo. It is also an omen of other negative cultural factors such as general distrust of management. Here you should consider whether employees are willing to address matters with their immediate supervisor or use the compliance hotline, and what would happen if they reported misconduct can be meaningful. Another, even better approach would be to measure how a company issues are reported and ultimately addressed. A final test is the employee workplace promotion and incentive history of internal whistleblowers going forward with their employment tenure with the organization. Are they promoted or even celebrated? Next, you should consider a company's compensation and incentive structure together with its employees' promotion to management as a key indicia of culture. Walmart, after it began its years-long FCPA investigation in 2012, began basing a portion of compensation for top executives on the ability to meet compliance goals. If executives do not meet their compliance objectives, they risk having their annual bonuses reduced. Therefore, one measure to incentivizing compliance is the degree to which ethical business practices have been factored into executive-level performance evaluations and/or compensation criteria. This can be leveraged down through the organization as well. What is the tone coming from management? Here you should question employee turnover and retention for such information. Through employee interviews, you can determine whether the turnover rate is attributable to the organizational transition or stress stemming from management's philosophy and operating style, which might include such things as an inappropriate compensation package, unreasonable sales goals, requirements, etc. One only need to consider the Wells Fargo fraudulent account scandal to understand how the failure to use the information developed from such employee surveys was detrimental to the bank. What about multinational, multicultural organizations? Are there differences which must be considered when assessing a worldwide company, such as cultural differences around hotlines, reporting, and even disrespect of a supervisor? This means you must fine-tune your culture audit to get a good understanding of the company's culture and obtain meaningful metrics. There can be other metrics which you can look at for data and gauging this type of comfort level in surveys and even focus groups, which can be helpful, most particularly if an outside independent third party is involved. Companies must have a high-performing corporate culture to do business ethically. One of the ways to do so is through the culture audit. It can be a powerful tool for continuous improvement going forward. Find out what your employees are saying about the culture of your organization, the mission, values, and vision, and most importantly, remediate those through continuous improvement if they are found wanting. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Well, the first question I'd like to pose to you is, what is the mission, vision, and values of your organization? Have you articulated those? Have you set those out for employees? Have you worked with employees to help set them? 2, what are compensation and promotion incentives in your corporate culture? And 3, is your motto always be closing, or is it closer to doing business ethically and in compliance? If it's the former, a culture audit can be used to help identify areas for remediation and can help improve your compliance program going forward. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow where we take up another topic in continuous improvement of 31 days to a more effective compliance program. As a call to action, I would ask that you tell one of your colleagues about this podcast series on the nuts and bolts of compliance, 31 days to a more effective compliance program, and this month's topic of continuous monitoring. 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network, and this month's sponsor is Affiliated Monitors. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow for another episode in 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program.